Flowers are a Valentine's Day tradition, and while they come in many colors, the people who grow and deliver them have their eye on plenty of green. This year, those celebrating the holiday plan to spend an average of $196 on Valentine gifts. Total spending is expected to hit $27.4 billion. That is up 32% from last year's record of just over $20 billion. Flowers are among the top 3 gifts for the holiday. But as Nancy Chen reports, getting millions of fresh bouquets from growers to grateful recipients requires a monumental effort.
Okay.
Everything's coming up roses, lilies, and yes, even carnations. At this warehouse in Queens, New York, the clock is ticking, and these bouquet creators are moving swiftly, with February 14th just days away.
How is this going to look coming up to Valentine's Day?
Well, we won't have any empty space like this. It'll all be full like we have over here. We're starting to bring the product in. This place will be blooming.
Chris McCann is the CEO of 1-800-Flowers, one of the largest online gift retailers. This week, those same shelves have been filled with bouquets, 6,000 of them, ready to be delivered across New York City.
Roses are the big one?
Yeah, out of 22 million stems that we'll sell for Valentine's Day, 14 million will be roses.
With families and loved ones separated by the pandemic, the company as a whole anticipates revenue growing by about 50% this quarter.
So this will be your biggest Valentine's Day ever?
We believe it will be.
Second only to Mother's Day in demand, Valentine's Day is synonymous with fresh blossoms, and plenty of them. The majority of these blooms come from Ecuador or Colombia, home to nearly 65% of the flowers in the U.S.
It took a little more work to get us to the point where we could actually make roses bloom in February.
Amy Stewart is the author of Flower Confidential, a book about the global flower industry.
Being able to get roses in the middle of winter was very closely linked to advances in transportation. First, it was having rail cars and automobiles that could get flowers from farms to markets, and then it was airplanes to get them from warm climates to cold climates.
On Thursday, the last of the Valentine's Day flowers were flown in and processed at Miami International Airport. The stems thoroughly inspected at customs. Amir Pineda oversees the operation.
About 1.1 billion stems of flowers come through from the beginning of January through February 15th.
Before continuing on to florists and distributors around the country, all planned, planted, and primed for one peak day, February 14th.
How difficult is it to make sure that timing is just right?
When we're bringing the flowers in from the farms, we have ethylene gas inhibitors in there to make sure that the gas mix is proper for the flowers. So there's so much of a science that goes into this. I thought I was getting into a flower business, running one store, and then getting into this virtual e-commerce business. What we've had to learn about logistics and distribution of perishable products has just been fascinating.
The McCann family started with a single flower shop in New York 45 years ago, before centering their brand around 1-800-Flowers, as toll-free numbers took off.
Now more than 5,000 of America's finest florists have the same telephone number, 1-800-Flowers.
Then another game changer.
So we started to dabble in e-commerce back in 1991 with a platform, I don't know if anyone still remembers, CompuServe. We were the first merchant to sell any product of any kind on AOL in 1994. Taking that through the 2000s, we just rode the wave of e-commerce.
Their flowers now come from partner farms, as well as a network of 5,000 florists nationwide. The company has expanded across 15 brands of gifts, including Carrie and David and the Popcorn Factory, delivering to 160 countries. It hasn't always been a bed of roses. Customer complaints about delayed deliveries and bouquets far from what their pictures promised have made the rounds on social media.
Things that didn't really show up like they were advertised. What went wrong?
Now, when you're dealing with a perishable product, sometimes you're going to have challenges. Weather can pose a challenge. Both extreme cold, extreme heat can pose a challenge. But the key is how we respond to that. And when you look at how customers are reaching us these days, it's through social media. We respond to those messages on social media within 3 to 5 minutes on average.
McCann points to that customer service as their competitive edge. They also enterprise new concepts like roses that last a year and partnerships with celebrities like fashion designer Jason Wu. Constant innovation and a long tradition.
Where does the idea of gifting flowers for Valentine's Day come from?
Because Valentine's Day is in February, it's not the easiest time to give somebody flowers. So originally we sent paper cards, but it really wasn't until greenhouse technology came along and made it possible to make flowers bloom in February that migrated over into Valentine's Day. And that was kind of the 1920s.
Stewart says the idea of gifting bouquets dates back to the ancient Romans. But the Victorians in particular embraced the language of flowers, using specific blooms to convey careful messages they couldn't otherwise say aloud. Some of those notes endure today.
Part of it is just tradition. It's really just embedded in our cultural awareness. There's not a culture anywhere in the world that doesn't view flowers as this kind of romantic way of expressing a sentiment.
And those feelings of affection are only heightened this Valentine's Day, as we hold the people we love closer than ever, at least in our hearts, if not always in person.
How do you think this Valentine's Day is going to stack up in the history of Valentine's Days for 1-800-Flowers?
Well, in the history books, this Valentine's Day will certainly have an asterisk as being a very different one, and we think it's one of the most important Valentine's Days of our career.
A day that's the culmination of an incredible year-long effort, encompassing the work of many for a simple message between two. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Nancy Chen, New York.
Very nice. And I believe at the top of the show or during promo, you questioned whether we were going to get you flowers, whether I was going to get you flowers.
Are these from you?
And Emily.
No, I will say, yes, that's true. It was a team effort, but let me shout out to Denya, who prepared these for you.
Oh, beautiful.
And as you take them home, you guys, I'm sure you know this already, but cut the stems before you put them in the vase and use flower food.
They're beautiful.
Right?
Well, you know, it's funny. I've been to Otavalo in Ecuador, and my husband bought me a 24-pack of flowers. Actually, what was that? 2 dozen.
Yes.
Guess how much he paid for them? $1.
Amazing,
helps to get them
It's all the
there.
transportation costs.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's the markup's incredible.
By the way, Sean Grandy, not off the hook. You're not off the hook. Still Valentine's Day tomorrow. That's all I'm saying.